Manoj Menon. Research is a powerful tool that can significantly improve outcomes for businesses and individuals. So says our next speaker, Manoj Menon, founder of Twimbit, a new age research firm whose aim is to help produce exponential impact by leveraging the power of research. His presentation helps us interpret the fast-changing world and how we can be better prepared to participate in this new era. Prior to founding Twinbit, Manoj spent 21 years building Frost & Sullivan's business in Asia Pacific. Manoj is a CFA, that's a Chartered Financial Analyst, has a bachelor's degree in computer engineering and a postgraduate diploma in business administration. He is passionate about all things sports. He is an avid marathoner, fan of Liverpool, woo-hoo, never mind, and also father of 2 daughters. Please give it up for Manoj Menon. Yes.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, wow, that's so difficult. So let's try it again. Why don't we all stand up? Let's try this again. Sorry. I know somebody didn't like. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, hey-oh, 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 hey-oh. Okay, thank you. Excellent. You know, Freddie Mercury has had a very inspiring impact on my life, and I'll tell you a little bit about it later. So we all saw in 2018 the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. And there were so many things that we learned about how the band Queen performed and inspired and challenged the very norms of music. Now, he infused in so many different sounds into the music that they created. He also challenged some basic things. He made the song, which is about 6 minutes long, in contrary to everyone's asking him to make it to 3 minutes, because no music station would play a song longer than 3 minutes. But one of the most striking things that the band did was about audience engagement. After one of the very powerful concerts, they saw that the audience members stayed back after the concert, and they were singing one of these anthems of my favorite football club, Liverpool. And they so much got engrossed in it. That's when Freddie Mercury and his colleagues saw, here is a powerful opportunity. I think the audience wants to engage with us. They want an anthem of us. And they got together to create what is one of the most memorable songs from Queen, which is, right? And the rest is history. So it's been about 30 years since Freddie Mercury is gone. But his music continues to inspire us because he challenged every aspect, not just in terms of producing the music, but the way he created experiences for the audience. So I spent 21 years working for a company called Frost & Sullivan. I was one of the earliest members to join that company in Asia. And I had an incredible career as a researcher. I learned so much. We opened up offices in almost 13 different countries. And we researched everything from telecommunications to healthcare to IT. And I had a fantastic career. But sometime late last year, I realized, while we're doing a lot of things great, the time has to bring that Freddie Mercury experience into research. Because a lot of research that we were producing, people were not consuming it. Less than 1% of people I know actually consumed all the wonderful research we did. So how is it possible for us to simplify research? Make it so easy that you can take it and apply it into our respective lives. That's when I founded Twimbit. And the Twimbit stands for the world is moved by ideas and technology. And how can I leverage the power of ideas and technology to help people improve business outcomes? So to achieve that, I first went and did a short survey. So I asked people, other than compensation, what is the biggest dilemma you face at work? And the first thing that came up was not enough learning. The number one reason that we seek to join a particular company is actually learning. And organizations today are struggling to be able to keep pace with the needs of their respective teams to learn. And the next one was about company not able to adapt to digital times. And why is this fear of learning? Why do we have this fear that we are not learning enough? To understand that, let us understand the context of the environment that we work in and we live in today. So when I graduated many, many years ago, the business environment was pretty simple, right? Because if you came from, I graduated out of school in India. If you came from a great school, then you could go to work in one of the big companies, right? But if you came from a small school, you worked for the smaller companies. And the business logic was pretty easy. The small companies acquired the big companies and they got bigger, right? But in the last 10 years, something profound has happened to this business environment. It's no longer cool to work necessarily for the big companies because there are tons of small companies all chipping away at the big companies because the big companies have become too big. Too big, they're not agile, they have built in so many inefficiencies. So it is cooler to be a small company, and the small companies have today access to greater resources, greater technology, greater funding, and they don't even need to make profits as compared to the big companies. They can go and challenge the world, right? So invariably, we are seeing an environment which is fueling tons of innovation, and it is not happening in the big companies that many of us are a part of. And that is leading to what this phenomenon is called as death by 1,000 cuts. So the big companies today are facing this big, big challenge. They are not dying of heart attack. The Kodak moments are not coming as often, but they are slowly bleeding to death. And what is the first signs of what is the first signs of bleeding to death? Your revenues are not growing. Your profit margins are going down. Right? What is the first sign? Your career is being impacted by death by 1,000 cuts. Your compensation is growing less than the GDP of the country. Right? How do we overcome this particular challenge? Right? And on the other hand, you have all these young startup amazing companies creating enormous wealth. Just as of last year, you had about 280 companies, all valued at over $1 billion, created in less than the last 10 years. And they're valued at $920 billion US. So what can we learn from these companies? How do we apply some of the lessons that these companies have into our personal careers, into our businesses? And the next 15 minutes are about giving some perspectives on that. So the first and most important thing, and this is the simple, biggest takeaway from my presentation, I call it the digital litmus test. We have all taken litmus tests in school, in chemistry. Everybody remembers the litmus test, right? So this is the litmus test for being in the digital era. This is the litmus test for saying I'm in the fourth industrial revolution. What is this litmus test? On the x-axis, I talk about resources, the investments that we make year on year in our business. And on the y-axis, we talk about the return, the growth, the impact that our investments bring in. When we plan our career growth, when we plan our business growth in the next financial year, we usually follow that blue line, right? We say, hey, let me add 10% more sales resources, right? And what will I get in return? I will see a slightly better improvement in productivity and therefore that blue line. But the digital businesses of today say that is not good enough, right? Because Amazon, despite being a $180 billion company, grew at 30% last year, 3-0. Wouldn't it be cool if our salaries grew 30%? Right? Wouldn't it be cool if the Singapore GDP grew 30%? Right? And that is what these digital companies, so they try to de-link the investment in resources from the return. How can I get an exponential growth curve? Right? How can I drive an exponential growth curve for the business? Is it possible for me to do that? Because if you are not meeting this criteria, then you in your career are following the principles of the old era. If your company is not attacking business ideas with the ability to drive exponential growth, you are still in the steam engine era. And that is the single biggest challenge. So how do we go about participating and building our business or building our careers on the foundation of this digital era? While there are a lot of factors, but today I want us to focus on 3 important things. Number 1, it is the study of disruptive technology. Number 2, it is about business models. Because it's not just about disruptive technologies, but how you put these technologies in a unique manner to extract value. Right? And the third one is about customer journeys. Because we got to think about the customer needs that we are servicing. It has evolved a lot in the last 15, 20 years. I'll try and touch upon one example in each of these. Let's start first with the study of disruptive technologies. And there are tons of disruptive technologies out there. The simple mobile phone itself is not optimized in our businesses. We use the mobile phone a lot in our personal lives, but we don't use it enough in our business. And if we can use it, we will see extraordinary return. But today, for the next maybe 3 minutes, allow me to demystify one of the most talked about technologies, which is artificial intelligence. Right? We all see and hear it around us, but we don't know. Many of us don't know what do we do with it. Is it impacting my life? Am I worried about the future? Is a robot going to take away my career? What should I do about it? We are all faced with decisions about our career, about our companies. What is the impact of AI on us? So I said, let me try and demystify that so that you can walk away with saying, hey, what can I do about AI after I walk out of this conference? The first one, is understanding what is AI. AI is, put simply, making computers to do things that human can do. And what can we do well? We have the ability to speak, the ability to communicate, the ability to see, the ability to learn, the ability to reason. And actually, I studied AI way back 30 years ago in my college. It was a great subject. And nothing happened for 20 years. But something changed in the late 1990s. And suddenly the AI principle or the discipline of AI became very exciting. And what is that one change? Because the AI that I studied in college was about a knowledge-based AI system. So we put in all the rules and put in all the knowledge there and say, if somebody says do this, then you do this. But that was a very finite way of building AI. Because as human beings, we progress on a daily basis. So we needed to change that. And the biggest change that came about in AI was the ability to have machine learning. Teach the machines to learn. Because if they can learn, then they will be able to grow faster and it will substitute other things. And that is the single biggest change we have seen in AI in our lives. Right? And there are many, many applications of AI. Let's start with Netflix. How many of you watch Netflix here? I think there's nobody who doesn't watch Netflix. Guess what? 3 out of 4 things that you watch on Netflix is driven by AI. Because AI has got a very powerful recommendations engine that has been built into Netflix. We walk into Singapore Airlines, and what does they do? They organize the content on the Chris Flyer, or Chris World, by saying drama, movies, Indian, Bollywood, Chinese. Right? It is not learning about me. As a result, my entire experience of watching entertainment on Chris World is not as exciting as it is with Netflix, because Netflix is learning about me. It is about building a personality and a profile about me similar to many other people around the world. And therefore, 3 out of 4 things that you watch on Netflix is driven by the recommendations engine. 1/3 of everything you buy on Amazon is driven by recommendations engine. 1/3, 33%. So in many ways, you are buying things that you really don't need maybe. But people like you around the world saying, hey, maybe I need it. So much so that now Amazon has filed a patent called anticipatory shipping. They actually ship a product to you even before you buy it. Because they know what you're going to buy. It is still a patent, they've not done it, but they're getting there. Their imagination is getting there. And this has powerful implications on how we see businesses. The other earliest implementation of AI was junk mail. How they quickly started learning. They put in probability. Is this a bad mail or is it a good mail? But the best implementation is that picture on your extreme right, which is that of Eve. Eve is a biology scientist. And recently, Eve has discovered a drug for malaria. Right? And what is so exciting about it is if we are able to manage that, imagine we can have millions of Eves starting to work on curing potentially cancer. Because, Eves don't need, off time and bonuses, none of that as compared to human beings, right? So we'll have a powerful impact on how AI could have rapid changes and impact. So what do you do about this? As we see this everywhere, I see that companies like Amazon have made it so easy for us to consume AI. So if you go on the Amazon website, they've got 9 AI services for you and me to consume. You can swipe a credit card and you can use it. For example, there is something known as Amazon Translate. They give you 2 million characters of translation free every month. So imagine if you are a professional speaker here and you have always been challenged to address the Japanese market. Go use Amazon Translate services, convert your entire website into Japanese, and your content will be readily available. They only charge you $15 for every 1 million extra characters per month. Right? So the consumption of AI is becoming simpler and simpler and simpler. You don't need to be an AI scientist to use AI. That is the key message I want to leave you with. Now, there is another interesting company I came about. It's a company called Fuse Machines, headquartered in the US, but also has AI engineers in Nepal. Because they see that, hey, I can train anybody to become an AI engineer. Right? And today now AI services are available on demand. So you can pay $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and an engineer in Nepal can work with you to help use AI into your business. So AI is becoming more mainstream faster than what you and I think. So I encourage you to go look at it. What does AI mean to you and me? How do we go about applying it in our respective businesses? So from the study of disruptive technologies, and there are many other disruptive technologies like augmented reality and others, but let's go on to look at business models, because most value for companies is created through unlocking of business models. Uber is great because it's a business model, not because it's a great technology. They spent $24 billion building Uber, $24 billion in changing your and my habit of doing transportation. That is the amount of funding which went into it. It was a brilliant business idea to change your and my customer preference and say, we will not own a car anymore, we will go on to Uber and Grab. Right? It's a business model change. So what are the key business models that are impacting, and what are the changes we see moving forward? I see three things. One is we are moving from product to service. Nobody's buying a product anymore. People are buying services. They want to consume that service. Second is about platforms. And third is consumer to business. So I want to start and maybe only focus on this segment of consumer to business, and I think it's a very defining trend. Because this is a company called Pinduoduo in China. And what they did was they have gamified the entire experience of shopping. So what they do is they go and say, hey, do you like this product? Would you want this product? $100 if 100 people buy, but if 1,000 of you buy, I will bring it down to $40. But if 10,000 of you buy, I'll bring it down to $10. So they gamified the entire experience. And before you know it, the company is now growing at 228% year on year. Right? So how do I apply it as an individual? Let me give you an example. There's a lady called Zhang Dai. Now she's become a multi-millionaire of sorts in a very, very short period of time. Because what she does is she uses the concept of consumer to business. She's traveling to a new geography, she sees a new piece of clothing, she puts up the photograph on one of those platforms and says, hey, do you like this color? Do you like it in pink or red? And based on the feedback that she is seeing on her Instagram post or a social media post, she is commissioning people to produce that particular product in a particular volume. Last year, she influenced $220 million of sales. So you can see how she is using the power of technology to have an exponential impact. She's not limited by a linear growth curve. From the study of exponential technologies and business models, let's go on quickly to look at customer journeys. Because we have forever focused on looking at serving a particular need. But the needs are met, because today every company is creating products and services to address needs of today. But you capture the imagination of the customer when you understand the entire customer journey. So here's a company called Sophie. They looked at the entire customer journey. So they went out and got students to take loans from them. They got the alumni to fund the students. But what they do is they change the experience of the student being on the platform. They said, hey, it's not about you just taking a loan from me. I'm invested in your future. Because after you take the student loan, you're going to start a company. You need career coaching. You're going to look for a job. You need a spouse. I'm going to help you across that entire value chain, right? I'm going to help you across that entire value chain. You know what they do? When the student pays off the loan, they do a party every quarter. Congratulations, you paid off one of the biggest investments of your life. It's time to celebrate. Which bank in the world has done that for us? We pay a 25-year loan, and they're not very happy to see us go. Right? So the key message I want to leave you with is be a superhero. Because you can leverage the power of digital technology combined with business model and understand the customer journey to have an exponential impact on your life. If you are not creating a non-linear growth in your company, don't bother asking for that raise. Because you don't deserve it. That is the truth of this digital era. So in summary, I want to leave you with this one last slide, which is, Twimbit is all about empowering businesses with knowledge and technology. We want to help improve business outcomes with knowledge and technology. Thank you very much.